podcast. I'm your host, Danny Bonsignor, and I am so thankful you are here today. I pray that I can help encourage you to feel, to love, to heal, and to help encourage you to view all of your experiences, your conversations, and interactions all through a lens of love. Hello, and welcome to episode 14. I was thinking the other day, what do I really want this podcast to be about? What do I say when someone asks me? And I realized that I aspire for the Healing Mama podcast to be a place where you are encouraged to be more mindful of the script you are writing for your child. And in doing so, you get to enjoy the process of rewriting your own script. Some of us had loving and well-meaning parents and adults in our lives, and some of us didn't. But no matter which one you had, many of us have this deeply engraved belief that we are not worthy of love, of patience, of kindness, that we are not worthy of forgiveness. And when we feel this way about ourselves, we can unknowingly pass these beliefs on to our children without even realizing that the words we speak to them, the way we react to them, the way we speak and react to ourselves in front of them, this is how the script is written. These seemingly small and sometimes mundane day-to-day moments. I hope to encourage you to really step into these moments and to be fully present so that you can allow yourself to enjoy them. They are special, they are fleeting, and they are unbelievably important in writing our children's script. Motherhood was meant to be enjoyed, so let's collectively get back to that as a society. I heard somewhere the other day, I'll try and remember what I was listening to, but they said if motherhood was meant to be easy, it wouldn't start with labor. And I thought that was funny, but also incredibly true, because motherhood is a labor of love. The word labor actually means to exert one's powers of body or mind, especially with painful or strenuous effort. I actually then went to look up the definition of strenuous, and it literally said characterized by vigorous exertion as action, effort, life. As in life in general is strenuous. So when we can just accept that life and motherhood is hard, and it's always going to be hard in one way or another, we can move on to learning how to enjoy it despite it being hard, because hard doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing. And we can let go of this idea that somewhere down the road, we will be able to live in this blissful world of easy and accept that there will always be something, but we are strong and we are capable and we will learn to prosper in the hard. Today, I wanted to talk a little bit about our identity in motherhood and what that means. As a Christian, I had to ask myself, what does it mean to be a mother to my child while at the same time a child myself? And I think we forget that sometimes. I think that we are all children. And how can I lean on God in my parenting? And how can I parent my child just as our Father parents me? I think the idea that I myself am a child, it's easier to give myself grace and to not feel like I have to have it all figured out. To not feel like I have to somehow just know how to be a mom, even though it's something I have never done before. When I was doing some reading for this episode, something that really stuck out to me is the fact that God listens to us. He really listens to us. I think sometimes it can be overwhelming when we are feeling stressed or we have a lot on our plate and we overlook what our children are really saying and what they are truly needing. But that isn't what God does to us, right? He never gets tired of his children coming to him. He never tires of us praying to him for the big or the little things. He never tires or lashes out at us for repeating the same things over and over. And how many of us are coming to him? He consistently and faithfully listens and responds to each and every one of us, even when we've been praying the same thing over and over again. How easily can we become irritated with our children for repeating the same thing over and over, or needing us to say the same thing multiple times when we do this exact same thing to God. I think about in the day-to-day of motherhood, how often do we spend time stressing over this or that, or getting so caught up in our feelings in the moment? And how often are you giving it over to God? How often do you just stop and pray throughout the day? How often do you just stop and say, Lord, I am overwhelmed in this moment, and I thank you for giving me the grace and the patience to make it through. It was a beautiful moment of clarity for me when I recognized and accepted that while I may have given birth to my daughter, she was his first, and she will be his long after. And how would he want me to treat her? How would God want me to care and respond to her? How does God treat me and care and respond to me? How can I mother my child in his light, and how can I give her the same patience and grace that God gives me day in and day out? And even bigger than that, how can I model to her what it looks like to give my stresses and my worries to him? What would it mean for our children if instead of ranting and yelling, they witnessed us on our knees and praying? If we lived in front of them what we pray for them? We want our children to grow up and know that God will always carry them through in the little and the big things because he cares. But what do we show them when we stress and react? When we are overwhelmed and our words are not kind? What are we showing them when we take our frustrations out on them? What would it mean if the next time you wanted to yell, you said, I'm sorry for speaking to you that way. Mommy is feeling XYZ, and I just need to take a moment to pray. And more than that, how would you feel afterwards? I think it is so important to be reminded that even when we slip and we react because we are human after all, what is the message we are conveying to our children? And is the message of love getting through as well? A lot of times when we are yelling, when we are overreacting, we are really just fearful. We are fearful for their safety and their well-being. And it's not so much your child as it is your fear over your control issues, your fear about what will happen if they get away with something, or a deeply engraved idea that when it comes to your child, you always need to win or they will start to control you. At the end of the day, one of the most important things is our love for our children and whether or not they received that message that day. And this can so easily be overlooked. Something so simple, just a simple I love you, can be overlooked. And when we are yelling and we are ranting, our children can forget that we do love them. Sometimes I just sit and I think about the power and the position I have been given as a mother. That it is a gift to be able to love and nurture and teach the child that God has loaned to me. that He has entrusted to me this child that is so dear to Him. But He didn't blindly do this, right? He knew what kind of mother my child needed and what kind of growth I needed. We were perfectly paired, just as you and your child. And our children are on loan to us, right? We will have to give them back at some point. So what are we doing with the time that we have them? Motherhood really is an honor. And that doesn't mean that it isn't supposed to be hard or challenging, but just as He has gifted me the child He has to teach them and raise them, He has also gifted me them to teach me and to grow me. So motherhood is hard, but I wake up every day and I make a conscious choice to see the challenges that will come as opportunities. I don't know about you, but I love a good challenge. And though these might be some of the most challenging battles I have faced to date, the growth that comes with succumbing to what the challenge is trying to teach me, whether it's to be more patient, to be more present, to let go of control, to relinquish my pride, the growth I receive from these challenges is so rewarding and soul filling that it almost seems selfish or too good to be true. But I know that is a deeply engraved, limiting belief of mine and not of my child. And that God wants good things for us, that it is both good and true. And all I know is that when I started seeing the challenges as a means to grow, the competitor in me took that and ran. The growth that motherhood has inspired in me is something that I could never repay. You love your child and you want what is best for them, and that can be done with kindness, that can be done with love, and that can be done with understanding. Being a good mother starts with accepting that you can't do it alone. And you weren't meant to do it alone. And maybe you're thinking, but I don't have anyone. I don't have any help. I don't have this village that everyone says you need. But you have Jesus, and He wants to help you. I challenge you for the next couple of weeks to turn your complaints, your stresses, your lack of patience into prayer. Instead of yelling, take a moment and pray. Instead of getting your head and worrying, spend that time and pray. And maybe God doesn't answer your prayers in the next couple of weeks. But if you spend as much time praying as you did stressing or worrying or lashing out, you will feel better. And He's listening. He hears you. Your prayers and your cries for help are not going unnoticed. You are loved and you are worthy and you are capable of overcoming any challenge that comes your way. But not alone. No, never alone. No problem, no struggle is too big for God, and certainly not motherhood. Whew. I don't know. I hope you got something from that. I hope that felt as good to you as it did to me. And I hope that something was said in that what feels kind of like a rant, because it was just something that I needed to get off of my chest. I hope that served you in one way or another. I am so happy that you tuned in today. And before you go, I want to share a message from the book Loving and Letting Go by Carol Kuykendall. And I don't know if I said that right, so I hope she forgives me if I didn't. From the moment I became a mother, I began a process of transformation that is still changing who I am. Since the births of each of our 3 children, I have been filled with a growing, powerful mother love that affects the way I think and act. It both fills me to busting and drains me to emptiness. It both confuses and consumes me. It brings out my best and my worst. It often tangles me up and keeps me from carrying out the right decision, even when I know what the right decision is. Mother love grips my heart and gets in the way of letting go, which is often the hardest part of parenting. Yet the older I get, and the older my children get, the more I realize how God uses our children as He uses all of our life experiences to teach us His most profound lessons, especially about the challenges of loving and letting go, which applies to all of life. I loved that quote, if nothing more than to remind me that while usually what I'm feeling is justified, it still matters how I react and respond. Motherhood is both challenging and rewarding. It's a chapter of our life, and lessons are meant to be learned. So be open, be receptive, be kind and forgiving. Give grace to yourself and the wonderful yet frustrating little humans you have been loaned. Lead with love and apologize when you don't. Have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful next couple of weeks, full of forgiveness, full of thankfulness and prayer, followed by action. In closing today, I'd like to share a verse from James 1, verse 19 through 20. My dear brothers and sisters, take note of this. Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry, because human anger does not produce the righteousness that God desires. Until next time.